up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to episode 59 of Who Gives a Dram, the year-end episode, end of 2021. Was it different than 2020? I don't know. It doesn't feel like it was, especially now. But regardless, we're here. We're here to celebrate another year doing the podcast and to reflect on everything that has happened this year, talk about some of the favorite moments. Got some news we got to talk about too. Some pretty big news that's going to affect at least my future. And there's been a few different movies I've seen since the last time we talked, notably Spider-Man No Way Home and the Hawkeye series. We're going to touch on that a little bit as well. Obviously, best way to support the show, just make sure you're subscribed on everywhere, and this podcast is brought to you by the Grapevine Media. So I want to start the show by saying Merry Christmas. I hope everyone had a fantastic Christmas. Christmas is always it's my favorite time of the year. I debate between spooky season and holly jolly season, but at the end of the day, you just can't beat Christmas time. Now, is my credit card pretty close to maxed out? Yes. Am I hoping that my tax return can basically just pay that off so I don't have to worry about it? Yes. Is it kind of stressing me out? A little bit. But I had a great Christmas. I had some great gifts that I gave. Santa was good to me. I was a good boy. And it was just enjoyable to be around all my family, as it is every single year. I'm lucky that I have a big family and we're all kind of really close to each other in terms of distance. There's no traveling, so it was fun. And I hope all y'all had a great holiday as well. I wanted to talk quickly about a tradition that I have with Christmas. I don't think I've talked about this on the show before, but every single year, you know, my family is a little bit different. We don't put Christmas gifts under the tree. We, since I can remember, have always laid them out on the couch. So there's 3 of us. So my sister has her section, my brother has his section, and I have my section. And that's the way we've always done it. And I like it better that way too. The thing about me is that Christmas morning is one of the most peaceful times of the year. Before everyone wakes up, the sun hasn't come out yet, you brew a little bit of coffee, you have all your Christmas lights on, all the presents are laid out, you know you're going to be excited for the next day, essentially, with gift giving and seeing family and so on and so forth. For me, at least, it's probably the most relaxing time of the year. It's where I'm not worrying about anything. I'm happy. So I get up early and I enjoy that. Morning. We start a fire in the fireplace. I brew some coffee. You know, it's usually just me and my dad up and kind of just sit there and relax. So we like to take our time on Christmas morning and really try to make it as long as possible because it happens once a year. It's like a 2-hour time, and it's something you never forget. Christmas mornings, no matter. Every single year, I'm sure there's one part of Christmas morning that you will remember, like for every year that you're alive. So we are very, we take our time. We're very methodic with how we open our gifts. So that's what we did this year. That's what we do every year, but that's what we did this year. We go around, everyone opens a gift at a time, and that's just how we've always done it. In recent years, since we've all kind of grown up, you know, I'm 25, my brother's 23, my sister just turned 21, so we're older. We all, you know, it's easier because we're not just ripping gifts open, and there's nothing like, there's no huge, you know, doll houses or whatever Kale and I used to get to put together and everything. It's all easy, and but the problem with my family though is that we like to describe what the gift is before the gift is opened. And there's no one worse than that than my dad. And he'll start describing the gift before you even open it, mainly for my mom, but for us as well. He'll be like, well, so I found this here. This is why I got it for you, blah, blah, blah. Basically telling you what the gift is right when your hands hit the wrapping paper. And and it's so annoying, but it's funny as well. It definitely is funny in terms of like, hey, Dad, shut up. And every single year we have a quote booyah gift that my dad, it's specifically picked out by our dad, and every time we open it, he says, oh, this is the booyah gift, and he'll say booyah every time we when we open it, and it's usually something that like my dad just picks out because it's sentimental or for whatever reason, it becomes the booyah gift. So that's been kind of like the joke on Christmas for the past few years. Like we'll just say, oh, here goes Dad. Why don't you just tell us what the gift is before we even friggin' open it? And, but it makes it funny and I enjoy it. And that's just one of the little Christmas kind of traditions, that we do. And, I just really hope you guys had a great Christmas as well, because I definitely did. And this is going to be the last episode of 2021. This is the New Year episode, so I want to say Happy New Year to everybody. If you're listening to this, whether it's today or tomorrow or the next day or sometime down in 2022 or in 2023 or 2024, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. This is the last day of 2021 that we're recording an episode, December 29th. Had a lot of things happen in 2021 that we're going to get to here shortly. But I want to say some breaking news first. And we're going to go over this more. We're going to release an episode on my other podcast that details this, and I'll tell you what that means in a second. But there will be more information coming out about this, basically what our plans are and so on and so forth. But I am going to be joining the Bourbon with Friends podcast as a full-time co-host. So that's happening, and that's essentially already happened. I've been on a few episodes already, but it's going to be officially official in 2022. So Paul from Bourbon with Friends and I have been friends since really I started my podcast, since I started Who Gives a Dram. Bourbon with Friends kind of took off. They had some huge guests on. They're, the three of them were very talented. And people kind of resonated with their content. So they became a very, very popular whiskey podcast. Their brand grew, and I was just doing my thing with Who Gives a Dram, slowly but steadily growing it. And we kind of came together a little bit after Thanksgiving, I think, or before Thanksgiving. We kind of started discussing, if I wanted to come on as the co-host and take it and, take over ownership of the podcast on the content side. And I said, definitely, absolutely. I think it's a great opportunity, and I love Paul. He's grown into very much of a closer friend now, since we've been working together now for probably about a month, recording a lot of episodes and making a lot of content. But it's more so because I think Paul's a really good guy. AJ and JC as well are great guys. I don't know them as well. And they just have such a good operation over there, and I'm very lucky that I'm able to join the crew, co-host the podcast, and we have some really, really cool things coming up. So anything Bourbon with Friends now becomes anything of mine, and vice versa. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because, it's a big deal. It's a completely different audience, I feel. I would think that a lot of you guys listening to the show right now probably also, if you don't listen to Bourbon with Friends, I've definitely heard of Bourbon with Friends. So I'm going to advocate that you guys, go over to their or our Instagram handles, TikToks, Facebooks. Make sure you're subscribed and everything. Check out the Bourbon with Friends podcast. We just released an episode today. We released an episode last week with Chef Brother Luck from the Food Network, and we have several episodes banked and ready to go, and we have some cool ideas that we're starting in the podcast realm. We have some different routes we're going to take, And I'm going to let that be said on the Bourbon with Friends podcast once Paul and I record and get that released, kind of describing what 2022 is going to do and what it's going to be like for Bourbon with Friends. But another reason I wanted to mention it on this podcast is because, I want it to be known that nothing's going to change with Who Gives a Dram. Who Gives a Dram is something that I started from the ground on a kind of on a whim, and just decided that I wanted to do it, and I wanted to try to grow this brand. And slowly but surely, we're at, I think, 1,200 or so Instagram followers. Have made some TikToks that have got a lot of views. I think I have like 350 followers on TikTok or something like that. I don't know how. I don't really post on there a lot. Thousands and thousands and thousands of downloads. I'm very, very grateful for that. 59 episodes. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Who Gives a Dram is probably one of the most proud accomplishments that I have. And that might not seem like, oh, Connor, it's just a podcast. It's not like it's the Joe Rogan Experience. But it's the fact of building a brand and having that be yours. And we've gone through a lot in the past year with set changes. We started the year out by the old Christmas tree with half the lights out, just recording on like a propping my phone up. Then we did an episode in my room because my Christmas tree went out and my studio wasn't ready yet. Then we started with the studio, but we had the Irish flag in the background, and you could only see Conor McGregor's nuts in my canvas painting. And now I have it over kind of in the corner, so you can see my whiskey cabinet. And I got some lights in here, and now I got other things coming as well. And 2021's been a year. It's been a year of change. It's been a year of adapting and overcoming some obstacles. But I want it to be known that nothing's going to change with Who Gives a Dram. It's still going to be a weekly episodic podcast / YouTube podcast that I'm going to put my heart and soul into. Like I say, this is kind of like my church. I use this as, to connect with the audience, and we're still going to review whiskeys. We're still going to do that. We're still going to have guests and the whole 9 yards. I'm also just going to be on Bourbon with Friends, and we'll have our guests over there. We'll have our content over there. Who Gives a Dram and Bourbon with Friends together. I think it's a recipe for some really quality content, and I really hope you guys enjoy it. But I'm still doing Who Gives a Dram. I think I want to talk a little bit more about other niche subjects that I like, as I've been doing kind of more so in the past few weeks. Movies, TV shows, MMA, UFC, boxing, just kind of other type of news topics out there. I kind of want to start hitting on more and more. But it always will be centered around whiskey. Most of the time reviewing a whiskey. And again, there's just more content that I have planned. But right now I'm happy with where everything's at. And I'm super excited to join Bourbon with Friends. And I am excited to work with Paul and AJ and JC over there, and kind of be, heading up not heading up, but joining the content with Paul, being the co-host of the podcast, and bringing my unique profile over there. I've been told I have a unique profile, so that's the breaking news that I mentioned in the title of the episode, and I hope you guys are excited as I am, because it's big. It's a big opportunity. But with Who Gives a Dram, we're staying right here. When you put work into something and you make it your own, and when you just find even a little bit of success with it, it's tough to stop. Biggest water bottle of all time right there, if you're watching on YouTube. So yeah, that's the breaking news, you guys. That's the breaking news. And that's what we're coming into 2022 with. Going nothing. Started from the bottom, now we're here. You know what I'm saying? Started from literally, I think my first Instagram post was like just a random video. And I said, hey, this is Connor. Who Gives a Dram? That's what we're doing. And now we're on episode 59. We've had some cool guests on the show. We've had some great podcast moments. And that's only going to be amplified in 2022. So I wanted to use this time today I don't have a whiskey to review. This is, I think, the first time I'm not reviewing a whiskey, like actually reviewing a whiskey on the show. Last week I had my buddy Nick Bossy on, and I hope you guys enjoyed that episode and the performance he gave us at the end there. I had a ton of fun recording that, and Nick will definitely be back on the show. It's not like he lives like 10 minutes down the road from me. We talk all the time. So he'll come back on, and when that EP drops and all his music drops, I will let everyone of you guys who are listening know via Instagram and stuff like that. So make sure you're following Who Gives a Dram. But I wanted just to kind of reflect on 2021 for a little bit. I have some whiskey that I want to give the Who Gives a Dram awards to. Now, last year on Instagram, I did the most surprising dram of the year, the best bang for your buck dram, and the dram of the year. And I'm going to continue that, and I'm adding a fourth category, best find of 2021. And we're going to go over that on the show here shortly. I have, right off camera, the whiskeys lined up, except for the find. That one I don't have. But I'll discuss that more when the time comes. But 2021, like I said, was a year for growth, was a year for adapting to some issues that kind of came up, navigating through COVID still. For everybody, there are issues that arise. You know, even right now, we're having another big COVID spike with whatever this variant is. Seems like most people are getting it, and like the flu, it's kind of just got to get it to get over it. I'm not a doctor, so don't quote me on anything. But everyone has their issues that they're overcoming. You know, this Christmas season, although it was fantastic, a lot of bad things happened. I mean, I had a few people pass away. I mean, we had Hattie, our dog, pass away unexpectedly. That was really tough, and just a lot of things happening with death, and I think it's amplified by the holiday season because it's supposed to be a time of joy and cheer, and it's just, you think about it more because it's close to the holidays, but it's a real thing. To feel that kind of sense of emptiness around the holidays. And we all, throughout the entire year, people have been dealing with whatever it may be, with quarantines around the world. And I know there are people around the world that listen to the show, so whether it's with quarantine rules or COVID rules or mandates or financial distress or whatever, we all had obstacles to overcome this year. But we got through it. We're here, and we got through it. And what helped me get through some pretty low times for me in 2021 was this podcast and this whiskey community and this whiskey family and the friends that I've come to make through just doing Who Gives a Dram and doing all this content and so on and so forth. I got some pretty cool opportunities that arose from that. And I kind of want to just go over some highlights of the year. I wanted to, again, shout out all the guests that I've had on the show, excluding my brother Kale. He does not count. I had Chris Walters on. He was my first, I think, like, official guest for Knows Your Bourbon. Right. I have my kit right down there, but it's underneath some stuff. I think it's underneath a few empty bottles or a currently used Taylor box or something. But he was kind of the first guest I had, and I remember being, like, nervous because I had done interviews before, but nothing like on Zoom and all this fancy stuff. And he's such a good guy, and his Knows Your Bourbon kit is just fantastic. I'll link the URL to his site below, but the Knows Your Bourbon kit, fantastic piece of equipment. And that was just a great episode to record, and I was very lucky to have Chris on. Karthik and Matt from R3 Whiskey, learning about the blending process, learning about Phenomenal Spirits, learning about their rum brand, their award-winning rum brand, and Rye 3, and what they, how they got to where they're at and what they're going in the future. That whole episode was intriguing to me, and it was such a pleasure to have both Karthik and Matt on the show talking about that process. That was awesome, and I still keep in contact with them. And we talk, and they like I said on the show, when we did that interview, they have a customer for me for life. So I'm always gonna have a bottle of Rye 3 on. Obviously Nick Bossy coming on the show last week, very new, but we wanted to get him on the show for a while. I'd use his music, so it was cool having him on and being able to do the live riffs of him doing What Happened to Country in a live performance and just talking with him and drinking some whiskey. That was awesome to have. And then Daryl and Matt, Whiskey Sith and Whiskey Morgue. I've had them both on separately. I've had them both on together. Very highly rated episodes. People seem to like those episodes, and having them on, they're two great guys, and I consider them two very close friends of mine. And I'm happy that I got to know them, and their episodes made me laugh. They're going to be kind of mainstays on the show, I think. I'm going to have them on a few times next year, probably more than a few times, just so we can bullshit together, and I can make fun of Canada, and they can make fun of me for not liking Canada and being an idiot. So all those episodes with Daryl and Matt are hilarious, and I'm happy that, again, I know them. So shout out to all the guests that come on the episodes this year. That just a fantastic experience, a fantastic, to be able to just meet all these different people. And I've got some guests lined up for 2022 as well. I mean, we've got Bourbon with Friends that we're going to have probably some high-profile guests on that I'm not going to say. But even over here on Who Gives a Dram, I've got, people that I'm going to have on that I connect with that we're going to talk with on the podcast and just have a good time. Just have a loosey-goose, silly-goose time. That's what Who Gives a Dram is about. Sorry, I'm coughing. I got to drink water. I had to take Mucinex again because I got a little itch in my throat. I have 3 episodes that I wanted to note down quickly as like my favorite episodes. For no reason, really. There's 3 episodes that stood out in my brain as favorites of mine to record. I've been enjoying like the past 2 or 3 months. I feel like I've been steady just coming out with I listen to the episodes back and I'm like, man, that's some good stuff. And there have been episodes in the past where it's like, I don't know about that one, but you still got to release it on a consistent basis. When people tell me or ask me Connor, what's the key to starting a podcast? Not to say I'm some big, huge, successful podcaster, but I always say the key is just to be consistent. Just be consistent. That's all you got to do. That's why every single week, except for 1 week, we've been consistently releasing at least an audio podcast. Always an audio podcast. There have been a few times where YouTube wasn't able to come to fruition, but it's always been at least an audio podcast. So being consistent with episodes all year long, and I even if I felt like the episode maybe wasn't a 10 out of 10, so releasing it and then listening it back later a few months down the line, maybe it's pretty good. Brings back memories, at least for me, because I'm recording them. But I have 3 that make me laugh even just thinking about them. Episode 28, our Mellow Corn episode, was an episode that I really enjoyed recording. Pretty sure I was a little tuned up already before I recorded that. I started the episode with my sunglasses on, and I just remember it being a very ecstatic episode. I had just found Mellow Corn. I was super excited. Paul is going to hate me at Bourbon with Friends. Paul's going to hate me because he hates Mellow Corn, but I love it. And that was fun to record. That was really fun to record. I'm pretty sure episode 29 was Lafroig cast strength. That was a fun one to record as well. Both those episodes, I felt like I just kind of hit a groove, and I was making myself laugh just talking about the whiskey. So episode 28, Mellow Corn, I'll link it down below on Spotify so you can listen to it. That was a fun one to record. Episode 18 was Proper 12 Irish Whiskey. Now, what makes that one special to me is it was my St. Patrick's Day episode. St. Patrick's Day obviously is a really important holiday to me because of just the fact that I'm Irish, my family, my heritage, the party that we have every year. That was when Conor McGregor liked 3 of my pictures in a row. And I know that was just because it was Proper 12 and it probably just had someone do it for him. But it still made me very happy, and I showed off a little bit. So that was fun. And I remember that being a good recording. I think at one point I recorded like a Jameson versus Proper 12 face-off episode that never made the light of day. I'm pretty sure I deleted it, but I still have episode 50, the lost episode. I have it saved in GarageBand. When Kale and I... The video didn't record, so we saved that episode. We tried recording again the next day, and the video still didn't record. So we just went with audio only, but I still have the first audio. I might release that sometime this year. I don't know. So episode 18, Proper 12 Irish Whiskey, that was another one of my favorites to record. And then the second Whiskey with Kin, the first one we recorded down in the basement, my brother's room, Colonel E.H. Taylor, small batch. That was a hilarious one to record. Warm baked multigrain bread is something that still makes me laugh to this day. And I like doing the Whiskey with Kins with Kale, Seth, and Nick, and I've got so many other people that I want to have on with Whiskey with Kin, but that was something I was kind of like, I wanted to deviate it from a regular episode because it wasn't an interview, but it wasn't a regular episode. It was something different. So Whiskey with Kin. So that was another thing that I enjoyed with 2021. We technically started it in 2020. I forgot what episode it was, but it was Sazerac Rye. And that was an episode that was like, I don't know about that episode, but we still released it, still been consistent. And then I think all the Whiskey with Kin since then have gotten better and better. But Whiskey with Kin 2, Colonel E.H. Taylor, episode 11. Again, I'll link it down below. And that it kind of it didn't blow up on YouTube, but it got like, I think it has like over 100 views on YouTube. I don't know why, but people liked it. So 2021 was definitely a year to remember. And there are so many great episodes. My Elijah Craig Barrel Proof series where I kept on just going Elijah Craig Barrel Proofs. I think I own 7 bottles of it now. I just picked up C921. We'll review that in the new year. Weller 107, that was recent, but I really enjoyed that. Larceny Barrel Proof, Larceny Small Batch, Henry McKenna 10 Year, just going through some of the episodes I remember feeling good about. So if you haven't listened to the older episodes, I don't think they're very good, but it's funny to see kind of how we've transitioned into where we're at now on December 29th, 2021. And we're looking forward to what's happening or what's going to happen in 2022. So let's go with the Whiskey of the Year awards. The Who Gives a Dram 2021 Who Gives a Dram awards. This is something that I wanted to quickly touch on. I'm probably going to post about it on Instagram still, but I wanted to do it on the podcast as well. We're going to go through it real quick. 4 categories: Most Surprising Dram of the Year, Best Bang for Your Buck Dram, Best Find of 2021, and the Dram of the Year. Now, I have 3 of the 4 bottles here. I'm not going to drink them, but I'm just going to, so I can have them up on the video. And we'll start with Most Surprising Dram of the Year. Now, this was a whiskey that I wasn't sure what to expect, and it absolutely blew me away. And it ended up being one of my favorite pours I've had on the show, and definitely one of my favorite rye whiskey pours I've had on the show. My most surprising dram of 2021 is Rye 3 Whiskey. Now, we just got done talking about them with Karthik and Matt, but for real, this stuff is delicious. I mean, look how much I try to save it because I actually have a backup bottle, so I just like it. I mean, everything about it is awesome, and especially the fact that I was able to talk to Karthik and Matt specifically about this brand and learn more about it is just, no pun intended, phenomenal. So This was definitely the most surprising dram of the year for me. The way they blend it with the rum cask finish, the 3 different rye mash bills that are used in here is just, like they say here, to create this magical liquid. It is magical. It's delicious. It's comparable to Angel's Envy Rye, which is also finished in rum cask, but it's way cheaper. So I would recommend picking this up if you can find it. And it's just, again, it's made by people who are super passionate about what they do, and that's what makes this kind of, I think, so good, is that Karthik and Matt are dedicated to this brand and growing it, and it just is a great pour, and a brand that I will always support with whatever release they come out with next. So Rye 3 whiskey is the most surprising dram of the year. Congratulations. Who gives the Dram Award 2021? We'll move on to the best bang for your buck dram. Now, this whiskey is something that I had not been able to even find at all in my area for the majority of 2021. And then like halfway into the summer, I found it. We reviewed it. I was amped. I was having a silly goose time. You probably already know what I'm talking about. And now I find it over at Wyoming Package, which is where I go to 99% of the time. Shout out to Ron down there. In 1 liter bottles for like $17. And if I didn't already have 3 bottles of this, I would definitely go buy one. But my best bang for your buck dram of 2021 is none other than Mellow Corn. Again, I know we just talked about the episode. Mellow Corn is for, I think I paid $20 for this, which is kind of considered marked up high. I'd say $15. Bottled and bond, aged at least 4 years, straight corn whiskey. Has to be at least 80% corn. Yeah, there it is, $20. I still got the price tag on it if you're watching on YouTube. And it's not the highest quality whiskey in the world. I don't want to say it's like the best whiskey, but for what you're paying and for what's in the bottle, I mean, just giving it a smell, man. I am gonna pour a little bit of Mellow Corn right now. Shout out Mellow Corn, the first whiskey that has been drank twice live on the podcast. Just the sweetness, like the dusty cracked corn and the vanilla that comes out. There's a perfect amount of rye spice to complement it, but I think it's 80%. I forgot what the mash bill is. I know it's at least 80% corn, and I love a sweeter bourbon. That's why I love my wheaters and I love my corns. So this is right up my alley in terms of what I could sip on daily and then not be afraid to be like, oh, I got to replace this bottle. So Mellow Corn, straight corn whiskey, bottled and bond, is my best bang for your buck dram. If you can find this, at least try it. Pick it up. You will not be disappointed. And even if you are disappointed, which I don't think you will be, send it my way. I'll finish it for you. It'll have a good home here. My best find of 2021 is technically not mine. It's not my find, but what is my brother's is also mine, so I consider it mine. And I don't have the bottle here. Again, it's in my brother's bar. But being able to find a 2021 Colonel H. Taylor Barrel Proof is probably the best find between the both of us this year. For paying probably MSRP, maybe even below MSRP for it, is just ridiculous. It's one of my all-time unicorns, and the fact that I was able to sip it and that we own it and that we're going to review it on the podcast is just insane to me. I was given a sample of it on for my birthday, and that's what I drank on my birthday. I'm pretty sure I posted about it. I probably even talked about it on the podcast, but now that we have a bottle and it's just sitting pretty, it makes me so happy to look at every single time. So I don't have the bottle here to show y'all, but we're going to have it on the podcast soon. So I'll probably have it on the next Whiskey with Kin with my brother sometime in early 2022. But Colonel E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof is probably technically the best find, of 2021. But what I consider my best find and what is translating into my Dram of the year. Now, I'm going to keep sipping on this mellow corn here. I raved about this whiskey on the podcast. I actually re-listened to the podcast today that I did on this whiskey. I gave it an 8.9 because it's just nowhere to be seen. And that does affect the score in my mind. If you can't find it, what's the point? So, although this is probably a 9.5 at least, you got to knock off some points because you can't find it. Looking back, I never take back scores because that is a testament of my character. I will not take back scores. It's ridiculous. I probably should have given it in the 9s, but I'm fine with an 8.9. It's fine. But this was a whiskey that I found, I think, a day or two before my 25th birthday, out whiskey hunting all day at a hole-in-the-wall liquor store in Rhode Island that was just off of just a beat up, like they sold chips in there and shit. Like, it was basically like a convenience store with it was basically a liquor store and then kind of a convenience store as well. And I see this on the shelf for $70. Ended up buying 2 bottles of it, one for me, one for my brother. And I knew at that point it was going to be my whiskey of the year. I just knew it. And especially after I tasted it, and it was good. It was just as good, if not better, than I expected it to be. Just kind of proved my point. My Dram of the year, and what is technically my best find of the year, my best find personally, and the 2021 Who Gives a Dram of the year, Larceny Barrel Proof Batch B521. Now, this whiskey holds a special place in my heart. I wish it was, even if it was as readily available as Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, which isn't the most available, but I still see it. And like, if I go to 5 different liquor stores, I probably see it in at least one. So, I mean, we do have, between myself and my brother, I think 3 bottles of this, so I'm not complaining. Like, I have plenty of Larceny Barrel Proof, but, I mean, we got one of those bottles during hunting season this year, during Christmas time, and we got 2 bottles when we first found this, and I've never seen it anywhere else. I've seen it in 2 spots. That's it. So I wish this was more readily available, kind of similar to Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, and Elijah Craig Barrel Proofs are some of my favorite whiskeys of all time. But in terms of this year, a little bit of sentimental value goes into this because it's right around my birthday, and I was looking for it for so long, and just seeing it just randomly in a random store on a random shelf, like the second row up from the bottom for $70. It just always, it holds sentimental value to me. So Larceny Barrel Proof Batch B521 is my 2021 Who Gives a Dram of the year. And although it wasn't the highest rated whiskey on the show this year, it is definitely my favorite. And all 3 of the whiskeys that we just had, the Mellow Corn, put them all up here, the Rye 3 and the Larceny, are deserving of the awards that I just handed out. And there'll probably be, I'm sure, like, you might want to pick up these 3 now. I'm sure now that my awards are out, it's going to really affect the sales. So I'd suggest buying Mellow Corn. If you see it, you're probably not going to see it anymore because I said it was my best bang for your buck. Same thing with Rye 3, and you can already not find Larceny. So I'm totally joking. But I would suggest picking up any 3 of those bottles if you find it. If you find them on the shelf for a reasonable price. 2021. Who Gives a Dram Awards. Done. Probably still posted on Instagram, but we're 39 minutes in. Yeah, let's talk. I was going to talk about Spider-Man for 10 minutes. Let's talk about Spider-Man for just a quick 5 minutes. Everybody knows. Wait, were there UFC fights? Oh, the Jake Paul fight. I should probably talk about that too. Let me hit on the Jake Paul fight first before anything. I've talked about Jake Paul on the podcast before. If you don't know, I think December 18th or something like that, Jake Paul knocked the shit out of Tyron Woodley in round 6. And I just want to say this. I won't spend a lot of time on it. Jake Paul is like one of the most polarizing people in sports/sports entertainment, whatever you call it. I think Jake Paul is legit. I think Jake Paul is very smart for what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. I feel like I'd probably get along with him. And if I was in his position, I'd do the exact same thing. And I do think he's a fairly talented boxer. I think he's actually working his ass off for this. I think he's being smart about who he's fighting, because why fight a no-name amateur boxer who has like a 50-0 record in amateurs just to make yourself legit, when you can make just as much, if not more money, to fight someone who has a bigger name and maybe not as talented in the boxing ring. He's making the same amount of money, and at the end of the day, money is what makes the world go round. So I don't blame him one bit. I think it's great what he's doing. And honestly, I'm going to buy his fights. I mean, I couldn't believe that me and my cousins, as me, Matt, and Tom, stayed up until 12 o'clock to watch a Jake Paul fight, but I'm damn sure glad we did, because he knocked the shit out of him. It was incredible to watch live. And honestly, it really tarnishes Tyron Woodley's legacy. 5-time UFC lightweight champion. Kind of widely considered as one of the greatest lightweights of all time. Welterweights of all time. Lost to Jake Paul twice. But I think it's more a testament of how good Jake Paul is rather than how bad Tyron Woodley is. I think Jake Paul, I don't think he's legit, but I think he's more legit than people are giving him credit for, especially now. And I am very intrigued to see what his next fight would be. I hope it's against Tommy Fury, just because Tommy Fury is a pure boxer, and I think it'd be fun to see it. But the man's making money. The man's doing his thing, and I can't hate on that. That's what I'm trying to do with this podcast. So, Spider-Man No Way Home. Real quick, we'll do a quick little 5-minute review here. Spider-Man No Way Home was everything that you could ask it to be and more. I'm assuming everyone has seen it by now, so I will say spoilers. I don't want to, listen, if you haven't seen it by now, that's kind of on you. And I'm assuming if you haven't seen it by now, you don't really care to get spoiled or not. But what I will say is this. The dynamic between Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire was out of this world awesome. The scene of them swinging, off of the what do you call the construction site? What do you call those? I can't remember at this moment, but coming together, knowing that they have to fight as a team, which Tom Holland has the experience with, but Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield don't, and them starting, jumping off the structure together and kind of swinging together was a fantastic. Like, that was one of those scenes where it's like, wow, this is what makes it awesome to be an MCU fan and following along on every single movie. Overall, the movie, top 5 MCU movie, and it's not even close. I don't know if it is better than the first or Avengers Infinity War or Endgame, but it's definitely better than whatever else I had in the top 5 before that. I might not beat Guardians of the Galaxy 2 for me. That's still just one of my favorites. But yeah, it's top 5 MCU movies. Best performance by far in the film. Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin was terrifyingly good. I wish they would cast him as the Joker. Why don't they cast him as the Joker? Anyways. DC Universe is fucking up its whole operation. They should just put in another Joker into... that just scared the shit out of me. I just almost knocked my glass over and it scared the shit out of me. If they're putting a Joker into Robert Pattinson's fucking universe, it should be Willem Dafoe. I don't care how old he is. He needs to play that character. But him as Green Goblin was terrifyingly good. When he suplexed Spider-Man through like 7 floors of the apartment building. Great acting when Aunt May died. Not only by Tom Holland, but a great dead face from Aunt May. Shout out to whoever plays Aunt May. Forgot her name off the top of my head. Great dead face. Fantastic dead face. I feel like it's hard to do like an actual dead face because you got to just be emotionless and you can't move a muscle because you're dead. Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire coming back. I was kind of underwhelming just because you knew it was going to happen, but it was still cool to see. And I was surprised they were in so much of the movie. I mean, they probably had 30 minutes of screen time each. And some scenes that was just Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield speaking, and that was awesome. Doctor Strange in it was great. I can't wait for Multiverse of Madness. There's really not that many negatives in the movie. I thought it was pretty well done. My favorite part of the movie, though, 2 weeks after watching it, is Matt Murdock being confirmed as Tom Holland's lawyer. Charlie Cox reprising his role as Daredevil, and someone throws a brick through the window, and you gotta remember, Matt Murdock is blind, Daredevil's blind. His back is to the brick, and he catches it before Tom Holland, who's sitting right there and is facing the brick, catches it. And Tom Holland just goes, "How did you do that?" And Daredevil just says, "I'm a really good lawyer." I think that should, if they put that on a t-shirt, I'd buy it. But that was my favorite. That was more surprising than Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield coming back, in my humble opinion. However, it was a great movie. It was definitely in the 9s, probably like a 9.2, 9.3 out of 10. It was up there. It was by far the best Spider-Man movie out of every Spider-Man movie. It deserves the hype. It deserves the money. It's already crossed $1 billion globally. And I'm excited to see where it goes through next. Hawkeye. All in all, quick review, was great. I enjoyed every episode. Kind of some continuity errors. I mean, it was kind of weird that the guy who was Echo's kind of translator and like one of the heads of the tracksuit mafia kind of just died. I thought they would kind of bring him back as a villain in the upcoming MCU television show Echo that's going to be on Disney Plus next year. Obviously Vincent, whatever his name is, coming back as Kingpin was huge. I mean, not much better casting than that. And the way they shot his angles of him in the last episode there, of him kind of always looking up at him, because Kingpin, if you haven't seen the comics, Kingpin is he's comically large. Watch Spider-Verse. Watch Into the Spider-Verse. You'll see how huge Kingpin is. He's so big, and they kind of have to translate that in the MCU without making it all CGI, because he's a regular person. But I'm excited to see where they're going to take him. I don't think he's dead. They're probably just going to make him blind in one eye or maybe both eyes after that last episode. But I loved Haley Steinfeld's character. Obviously, Hawkeye was awesome as well. A great dynamic between the two. I'm excited to see what Kate Bishop's going to do in the future. My favorite part of Hawkeye was Florence Pugh. Yelena was just oof, madam. That's my review on Hawkeye. I liked it. It's not better than Loki. It probably edges out WandaVision a hair for me. And then WandaVision, and then Falcon Winter Soldier was not good, and is clearly the worst show to come out this year from Marvel. And that's it. That's all I got for today's episode. We had a lot to talk about, a lot of news, a lot of reviews, a lot of awards, but to end the last episode of 2021, I just want to say thank you very much for everybody who has reached out this year, who has followed the show, who has downloaded an episode, who has supported the show in any way, who has reached out to me, who has commented on my posts, who have reached out to me through direct messaging, who have liked the videos on Facebook, who have liked the videos on TikTok, who have shared my content with friends. This was my favorite part about 2021, was Who Gives a Dram. And I have no intention of stopping in 2022. My goal is to grow Who Gives a Dram and Bourbon with Friends as far as it will go. I want to take them both to the moon, which we are going to do. And I just am happy that you guys are coming along for the ride with me. and I'm very thankful for each and every one of you that have supported the show this year. So I'm excited to see where we're going to go in 2022. And again, this is my church. This is what I look forward to doing every single week. I wasn't necessarily feeling too hot today, but I was excited to record just me and you again. And we're going to keep on going up. We're going to keep on going up. So make sure you're following the show on all social medias. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok are all Who Gives a Dram. You can follow us over at Bourbon with Friends as well. I will be posting consistent content over there. You can check out our episodes over there. Make sure you're subscribed on all platforms, you guys. Apple Podcasts, Spotify being the two biggest ones. And make sure you're subscribed on YouTube as well. That's a huge platform for me. And with the video podcast, it kind of took off this year again. So I'm going to keep doing videos. I like doing them. So we're going to keep doing that. So make sure you're subscribed over there and you like the videos and you comment on the videos. So for the last time of 2021, we're 50 minutes in. I'm going to let my brother, Nick Bossy, play me out. What happened to country. And for the very last time of this year, a Happy New Year. I hope everyone enjoys their day. And always remember, whiskey's the water of life. So let's start living.
My hands are tired from paying my bills, staring at a bottle, I'm aiming to kill. The weeks passing by and the seasons keep changing. I'm playing my song, trying to make me a name. People say as they walk out the bar, the kid's gone places, maybe even a star. They don't play country down in Nashville today, just the same chord progression with nothing to say. What happened to country? 3 chords and the truth. And who's gonna step up and fill their big shoes, writing songs about outlaws, singing all night, and songs that'll make a grown man cry. They use auto-tune now down on Music Row, 'cause true country died there a long time ago. No, they don't play Waylon on the boulevard, but they'll do anything to be rock stars. What happened to country? 3 chords and the truth. And who's gonna step up and fill their big shoes, writing songs about outlaws, singing all night, and songs that'll make a grown man cry. But I do believe there is hope for us yet, 'cause there's millions of people who cannot forget the way Johnny Cash brought a tear to their eyes, or how Marty Robbins painted Texas skies. What happened to country? 3 chords and the truth. And who's gonna step up and fill their big shoes, writing songs about outlaws, singing all night, and songs that'll make a grown man cry. A grown man cry. A grown man cry. I won't let country die.